everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Oh my god, it feels so good to say that. So I just came on here to mention that the live recording of the A to Z grad school and scholarship with Gloria is live. For some reason, some parts of the webinar had to be cut out, but then who knows, maybe I might decide to come on here and talk about them from time to time. So if I were you, I would subscribe. Yes, subscribe, like, and share to your friends that would need all of this information. Okay, without any further ado, dive into the video, and it is my sincere prayer for you that even as you're about to embark on this journey, that God will be with you. He will give you everything that you need in terms of resources, in terms of wisdom, time, diligence, and dedication to make this dream come true. I'm rooting for you. Bye.
Okay. So first one is university websites. That there are a lot of scholarship opportunities that are not even publicly posted everywhere. You can, search different university websites, like look for particular courses you're interested in and see what funding is available. When you go to most university websites or most university websites, you might see a part where they say funding or scholarship opportunities, and then you can even filter according to your country, because sometimes they can have specific scholarship opportunities available for people from specific countries. So go across to different schools. Is it Cambridge? Like shoot your shots. Like go high, go low, go wide. Like don't restrict yourself. Like Gloria has already shared a way to arrange all of this in an organized manner. So do your research, and I think that's something very important. These things might not necessarily just fall in your lap, but you actually have to do your research. And the first step, like joining this kind of webinar, is a very good step towards doing that. So university websites has a lot of opportunities. Even here in Manchester, I didn't even know. It was when I came into Manchester that I realized they had something called equity and merit scholarship that's available to some certain people, right? So if you do your research, you come across a lot of opportunities that might not be widely known. Another place is social media like LinkedIn, Twitter. I know there are a lot of pages or a lot of accounts that share information on scholarship opportunities, or maybe professors that are looking for graduate assistant or things like that. On LinkedIn, on Twitter, I think pages like what's his name now? I think Ugochukwu Madu, if I'm correct, even Dr. Lumuyiwa. These are people you should follow or be up to date on. There are also like Telegram channels that people post a lot about scholarship opportunities. On social media too, I'm going to mix family and friends with social media too, because most times that's how you relate. Funny story, I got to know about the scholarship I'm on by just seeing a friend's status. I had never heard about the scholarship before. In fact, when I saw his status, the link, I looked at it and I was like, is this thing real? Like, that was my first reaction. I messaged him and I was like, is this thing true? Because it seemed too good to be true. And I think it's very important to note that I know a lot of people are looking for scholarship opportunities, but I feel like there's also this myth that some people believe that these things are kind of like fairy tale. But there are three of us here on this meeting today trying to tell us that these things are real, and they're available to you, right? They're available to you basically. So let your family know, let your friends know, so that when people come across these opportunities, they can send it across to you. You can keep on applying, you can keep on doing the work and all of that. You also have scholarship portals and cafes. These are like websites where they post about different kind of scholarships, right? Scholarship for different companies, can be Canada, can be USA, can be the UK, can be Europe. Like different countries have different scholarships available. For example, we have the Fulbright scholarship. I think that's for the USA. We have Chevening, like these common ones: Chevening, Commonwealth, Rhodes, Erasmus Mundus. All this scholarship. That scholarship for Germany. We have that as well. And then even for regional and national scholarship, these were the scholarship that I didn't really know about at the time, but apparently I was able to get one of them. These are scholarships like PTDF, that's Petroleum Technology Development Fund, NNPC. Some companies also offer scholarships like NNPC, Total Energies, NLNG, Shell. I think Shell or Total offers to like countries like France, and these things come out during the year. Like from time to time, scholarship opportunities are coming out, and people are either posting it on their status, people are posting it on social media, people are posting it on LinkedIn. So you have to keep your eyes wide open. Like once you're interested in it, look at every opportunity and don't feel like, oh, you don't have what it takes to apply for this. What's the worst that can happen? put your feet out there. You already saw the sheet from Gloria. Apply, put your applications here and there, put your applications here and there, and you definitely come up with something. Also, leveraging networks, like we've also stated, like Dr. Lumia's resources, then alumni. This one, you can go to LinkedIn and just look for people that have studied abroad and see how were they sponsored, like what's their story, like what opportunity am I not aware of. It could be an opportunity within the school, it might have been through a professor, it might have been a body or a scholarship organization you might never have heard of. There's also NDDC scholarship that people go through from Nigeria. These scholarships are fully sponsored, like literally from your flight ticket to your visa to like landing to stipends, fully funded scholarships, and these are available, and it's very, very possible. So even while talking about where to find scholarships, I just want to encourage us to open up our minds to the possibility of getting the scholarship. People have gotten it, and you can get it too. So we'll be moving on to the next section now.
Yes, I can. So, I mean, Favor already did a very, very excellent job on SOPs. So, I don't have much to say again. I mean, she already spoke about getting a good hook. Like, Favor spoke about how you need to sell yourself in your SOP. So basically, every single thing that you're applying to your SOPs, you also need to apply to your essays. But then essays are unique because, I mean, the SOP is like there's a rule for all the SOPs that you need to write, just that you will need to personalize each one according to the course you are studying, according to the school you're going to, what is this school about, which country is this school located in. But then essays can be more dicing because there will be particular topics for the essays. So I think the first one I'll talk about is the MasterCard scholarship I applied for. So if there's anyone here that applied to McGill this year, the people that applied this year, because it has closed, it closed in August. I think there were about 7 essays or so. So you will need to bring out all your creative juices. Like Favor said, you need to sell yourself. So you legit need to sit down. And then when you're writing, please, I beg you, don't write only about your professional experience or you're a team lead at work. What are the things that you're also doing for free? Your volunteering experiences, like what do you do in church? What do you do in your, do you have any organizations that you belong to? This is the time to sell yourself. So I brought out a question here because this is one of the questions that I answered last year. And then the question says, please share 3 core values that are most important to you. How have they helped shape your life so far up till this time? Looking ahead, how do you envision these values influencing your journey over the next 5 years? Do you believe participating in the MasterCard scholarship will help you further these aspirations? Please include a personal story or experience that illustrates these values in action. Remember, this is just one essay out of maybe the 7 or the 5 that that particular scholarship may ask you to write. And they will not even go ahead and give you a word limit. They may say um 2,000 characters max. And like Favor said, make sure you answer the question. So what I usually do is I like to break it down. I would say, okay, number one, please share 3 core values that are most important to you. So that's one. How have they shaped your life so far up till this time? That's the second question. Number three, looking ahead, how do you envision these values influencing your journey for the next 5 years? That is the third question. Do you believe participating in the MasterCard Scholarship Foundation would help you further these aspirations? The fourth question. The next one, please include a personal story or experience that illustrates these values in action. That is, I think, the sixth question. I don't remember. I think fifth or sixth. But yes. But the whole point is you need to take your time because I mean, like I said, you don't have enough enough space to really talk about all these things. They're like, it's like once you want to start talking, before you know, they are moving you to the next this thing, talk about your next 5 years, talk about your personal experience. So, like I mentioned, you need to make sure that you answer each and every question. And I'm not saying that you need to answer it. Let me say, for example, if the very first, okay, so the very first line of the question is, please share three core values. Looking at, like, you don't need to answer it like paragraph by paragraph according to the question. But then by the time you're done writing your essay, go back to the question and check again. Okay, this question one, have I answered it? Tick. This question two, have I answered it? Tick. On and on, like that. And I believe if you put these tips together with everything that you've learned on SOP, you would end up having a wonderful essay for your scholarships. Thank you. I
Yeah,
think
Gloria.
next would be having Ogale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ogale would be speaking on CV, how to get a killer CV for your application. Ogale, take us
Um,
away.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Thank you so much, Favor. Beautiful, beautiful. Me, self, I'm learning. I was telling you, Gloria, that I'm coming here to learn too. You thought I was joking.
Yeah, please, what are you learning? Please.
Ah, hey, okay. Now. Favor, can you please share the slide again?
Yes, I would. Just give me 1 second.
All right, sure. Okay. So for your CV, I'm basically going to be focusing on academic CV. I'm pretty sure most of us should have, if not all of us at this point, should have um a professional CV. At least each and every one of us should have a professional CV, meaning that, oh, you have your name. I mean, the first thing you should have is your name, your contact details, your phone number. Make sure it is valid, your phone number, your email. Email, please. Don't use something that is way over the box. It's very important for your email to be very professional. Preferably if you have an email that's just your first name, your surname at gmail.com, but not something maybe you made when you were in primary school. And then that's what you're still using with all these weird numbers and all of that. Make sure it's professional. If you want, I usually do this. I include my LinkedIn. I just create a hyperlink. So I write LinkedIn and then it's clickable. So if they want to go to my LinkedIn profile, and I do that because I believe there's a lot of value on my LinkedIn profile, or I've built it to a very good extent so that if someone goes there, they can see the best part of me. So also, like, building up on what Favor said in the SOP, as your SOP is presenting the best parts of yourself, you want your CV to also present the best parts of yourself. Your CV is where at a glance they can see, okay, you studied this in your bachelor's, or okay, you have this volunteer experience, or you worked as this, or you have this publication, or you've done research in this particular area. So you want to bring out the best part of you. And I think something that is important to discuss is, I feel like sometimes as time goes on, you might even forget the things that you've done. So to properly like build up your CV, you might want to sit down and really think on, okay, what are the experiences I have, what projects have I worked on, what research have I done, all these kind of things, so that you can bring out the best part of you. Also, when talking about volunteering and work experience. Okay, now let's dial back and take it one step at a time. So let's just talk briefly about the difference between an academic CV and a professional CV. For academic CVs, you might need it when applying for maybe certain programs in schools, maybe for your master's degree, or for a PhD study, or for a scholarship. While professional CV is majorly used like for applying for jobs and all of that. And in your academic CV, what you really want to emphasize are your academic awards, your education. That is where any any award you've received, whether, put your CGPA, if it's really high, put your CGPA here. If you were top 1%, top 2%, top 3%, or top whatever percent of your class, put it there. If you were on the dean's list, put it there. If you got an award in 200, that be 100 level for a particular thing, put it there. Like anything that will put you in a good academic light, that is where you need to show for, because now you're not trying to, it's not like professional CV that you say, oh, you just have 1 to 2 years experience, leave it down to 1 to 2 page. You want to put yourself in the best possible light, so that once someone opens it and sees it, the person is like, okay, I would love to know more about this person. So you want to put your best foot forward. So we start with, so basically that's the major difference between academic CV and professional CV. You're emphasizing more on your academic, your publications, your research. That is where you talk about your final year project, right? I think previously, before I had to remove it, if you remember, I don't know if this cuts across multiple people, but for us in Covenant University, apart from the final year project, there were kind of like some research projects you undergo while studying, maybe in your 400 level, your 300 level, your 200 level, maybe some group work or some mini projects. You can also talk about that in a good light if it fits with what you are trying to apply for. So that's why I emphasize just sitting down to think about the experiences you've had, think about what you've done, and then begin to build up on that, basically. So, like I said, you start, and I'm going to show, just after talking about this briefly, I'm going to show a what's it called, a kind of like a mock template I got online so that we can discuss about it in detail. But basically, we're on this key point saying highlight relevant achievements, research, and skills that are valid. So you want to start with your name, your contact details, your address, and all of those good stuff, and ensure that they are active so that if someone picks up your CV, is interested in you, and wants to reach out to you, they are able to reach out to you. You won't want a situation whereby, oh, you made a mistake in typing your email and all of that. And which is why something Ife's Favor said is very important too. You need someone to review these things as they are creating these documents, as they are trying to make applications. It will be really helpful to have someone to just review these documents for you, tell you where, oh, you can do better in this, you can do better and that, and just to serve as a guide, basically. So for your academic CV, you start with your name, contact details, and then you want to go ahead to your education section. Usually,
Darling,
some.
would you like me to reflect my screen?
What do you say?
Would you like me to reflect my screen? Or not yet?
Okay, yeah, sure, you can.
Yeah.
So we'll just go through it.
Or it's not time. If it's not time, that's fine too.
No, you can put it. It will just be good to have everything together. You can show the first one. This one, yeah.
Okay, let me just put off my camera. Perfect. This one. Is it this one?
No, I can't see it yet.
Can you see
Okay,
it?
yeah, that one. Yes.
Is it this one?
Yes,
Perfect.
yes. Okay, yeah. So for example, this is, well, first of all, what's the word now? What did they say? I've forgotten the word. But this person has a lot of publications and all of that, and I know it may not be the same for everyone, but I'm just trying to show something. First of all, one thing I really like about the CV is the format. It's very simple, and I'm going to talk about that as the last point. Your formatting is very key. You want someone to just open your CV, and you don't want too many colors, you don't want too many too much formatting. You really want to keep it simple and keep it at a font size of maybe 11 to 12. Yeah, moving it, Favor.
Sorry.
Okay. You want to keep it at maybe 11 to 12 font size, maybe a font of like Times New Roman or Calibri or something like that, but you really want to keep it simple. And I particularly like this line underneath. That's what I use for my personal CV for like separating each section. So as you see from the name up there, can you give me the name side, please? Yes. So you have the name, and that's like that should be like the biggest font on like this on your CV. And particularly this bottom part, I would rather just have it like you put your email, you put your phone number, you put your location or your address. Not necessarily like this, but I think he's trying to show more detail in this, which is not bad as well. Then you go to your education. In his case, I think all his studies was in the same university. So you can see Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology. You can see the location. The dates are also important. And I think it's also important to put the month as well as the dates and the duration. Like I would usually put, okay, my bachelor's was from 2017, September 2017 to, let's say, um August 2022, thereabouts. So that's also important so that they can see the timeline. And then you can see he put his CGPA there, 3.75 over 4.0. You can state you had first class honors, you can state you were top 4%. And Favor, there's another one. Can you just switch to the other two? There's something I wanted to highlight in one of them.
This one. Did this one?
Um
This one.
Go to the next one again.
This one.
Okay, was the previous one. Yeah. So you can see how this person literally listed. No, the next one.
The next one. This
Yeah.
one.
No, this still the first one. This the next one.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
wait.
this
This
one.
one.
This one. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. So you can see how the person literally listed the honors that he got as a result of like studying Bachelor of Art at that particular school and all of that. And then you can see Magna Cum Laude, 3.9 over 4.0 GPA, Dean's List. I think that's a well-known thing that if you're on the Dean's List, like that's commendable, and some form of honor society. So you really want to list out every accomplishment or every like award you've gotten while studying that particular degree. Another important thing is your relevant coursework. This is something I even do in my professional CV because I believe I've studied things because I'm in controls, and I always put relevant coursework to the role I'm applying for. Just kind of like bridging the gap between, okay, yes, I went to school, but like this is what I studied, like these are the courses I studied, and this is how they translate to the role I am applying for. So this is also very valid for academic CVs. You want to show what courseworks are relevant. Maybe you did this particular coursework in your bachelor's and now you're going on to your master's, and that's a way for them to tie it together. So you want to show your relevant courseworks as well. After your education section, you can then go ahead to talk about maybe whatsoever researches you've done, whatever publications you've done. Maybe you publicize, maybe you public like, or you what's the word, you uploaded or you probably Jesus English, but you basically published, yes. Published. I know English. So you basically published your final year project. This is also the time to talk about your final year project. Maybe just give a brief summary of, I did this during my final year project, or this was what I worked on. You give the topic, you probably talk about some key things or some key things that you are proud of from your research. If you've done any other research, you can talk about it in other aspects too. Favor, can you go back to the first one, please? We'll continue with that.
This one.
No, yeah, this one. Thank you. So as you can see here, so from education, this person then goes on to talk about research interests, and this is particular valid for people that are reaching out to professors directly. So you might want to just talk about like literally state, okay, these are what my interests in, my research interests are, and all of that. And then you have awards and scholarships. This is where whatever maybe on your in your undergraduate degree you received some awards or some scholarships while you were there, and like I said, maybe you see some awards in your 100 level, maybe 200 level, all of that. Put every single thing you have. Like, don't be scared or don't try to like be humble. Yeah, this is not the time to be humble. Everything you've received accolades for, this is the time to put it there. And then you see publications. If you have any publications, even if the publication maybe is still in the process of being like published, like fully published, as far as you can even put in brackets in view there, and then it's also acceptable. So you want to put any research experience you have as well. Now, aside from these academic things in your academic CV, you also want to talk about your work experience, right? I mean, there's still space. You want to talk about your work experience. And when talking about your work experience, you want to show impact. You don't just want to say, oh, I worked on this, I worked on that. You want to show the impact you made in that organization. Oh, you optimized this process by this percent, or oh, you contributed to this, or oh, you led a team of 5. You want to talk in a way that is showing that you actually provided value at that organization. And then very importantly, you want to talk about your volunteer experience or leadership experience, because everyone is going to come with academic qualifications. What really makes you very different, or what really makes you stand out also, is how you volunteered in activities, what you've done aside from your academics. Because the people giving the scholarship, they want to also see that same thing like INE was sharing previously, when they're talking about your core values, right? They're talking about, oh, where have you you also want to show in your CV. Talk about roles you volunteered in, talk about how you've led teams, and talk about the impact that you've made. So you can have a section for volunteer and leadership, have a section for your skills, very important. And apart from the normal teamwork, adaptability, also really want to talk about the tools you can use. You also maybe want to talk about some extracurricular activities. I edit videos, and for some reason I still put this in my CV. I don't know, I just feel like it's interesting for someone to know that about me. Maybe to just make you feel like, this person is interesting. I just want people to know that there is more to me than, oh, okay, I got a first class and I did this and I know how to do engineering. Put your the same way when it comes to applying for jobs, basically your CV goes ahead of you. Or is when they see your CV, they're impressed with what they see, they can call you to take an assessment and for the interview. The same way your CV is going ahead of you in your master's application, in your scholarship application. So you want to ensure that your CV is showing the best part of you. I was about to say praise God. Anyways,
Okay.
so like I said, just to give a brief summary of everything. Beginning, you start with your, okay, hey, hallelujah, thank you, praise God. So from the beginning you start with um then you go ahead to talk about your education, show any awards, any accomplishments you've done, put your CGPA if necessary, put yourself in the best possible light, talk about your relevant coursework, talk about your final year project or any project you did while you were in school. Then you want to also highlight your awards and achievements. You also want to highlight any projects you've done, any research you've partaken or partook in. And then you also want to talk about any publications you have. You also want to talk about your work experience, because I'm sure, like, obviously it won't be very long. And also that's very important. Try not to talk too much, but like say reasonable stuff, but try not to talk too much. Like, don't elongate it. Like, don't unnecessarily elongate your CV just because you want it to look like, you did a lot of things. That's not necessary. Make it succinct, make it straight to the point, and show your skills and show everything you need to put there. And show relevant experience. Keep it straight to the point. Use bullet points. Use, like, I would always suggest using these lines for sectioning. I just think it looks really good. I'm biased, but I might be biased, but yeah. Talk about your skills, talk about your volunteer and leadership experience, very important. And then, yeah. Okay, do I answer the question? What are the maximum pages for an academic CV? So research says that it can be up to 3 pages, but I think you should keep it. Like I said, you don't want to talk too much. If you really have important things to say, then put it there. Like, if you really have, but let it not be like, oh, you're just trying to create a very long document. If you have publication, like, see this person, publications are literally taking like half of the page, and this is very valid about work experience or volunteer and leadership or things like that, right? But I don't think there's any hard and fast rule to how many pages should be. But I would say don't make it too long, and I would say don't make it too short because it's what about your work experience. So definitely it should be between, let's say, 2 pages, 3 pages thereabout, to show your relevant skills. Once you feel like you've put your best foot forward, send it to someone to review. Like, if you ever said, possibly someone that is like well experienced in that field, so that they can give you valuable feedback, what you should remove, what you should add, and things like that. So yeah, that's all on CVs for me. So remember, put your best foot forward, like if your favor has shared previously. And yeah, so now we'll be going on to recommendation letters by Gloria.
Thank you so much, Ogali. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know that people will have a lot of questions for you at the end of this session. So, okay, so next we're going to be talking about recommendation letters. Who should write your recommendation letters? So, okay, so where do I start from? Okay, so ideally, I would suggest, like, scale of preference, right? For your recommendation letters, okay, so let me start from beginning. What is a recommendation letter? So when you're applying to schools, if you're applying for scholarships, the people will ask you, okay, you need someone to vouch for you, to speak about your leadership, your educational background, and all of that. Someone that can say, okay, I know this person, and this person is someone that deserves this award that you're giving out. Okay, so who should write your recommendation letters? So, scale of preference, I would say someone that was your professor in school, especially if it's to the department of your school, because I mean, at the end of the day, you're applying to a school. So, having an academic referee would be very good. Like, it just says a lot. It's like, okay, for someone that is a professor or maybe a doctor to vouch for you, it just attests to the fact that you'd be you have maybe a good background or so, especially if you are applying for a research based thesis, a thesis based master, sorry, or maybe if you're applying for a PhD. In short, 100% please use an academic referee. However, if you were unable to establish connections, well, for those that are still in school, or if you still have the opportunity to establish connections with maybe your lecturers, your professors, please do so. Like, even if maybe you've not started, maybe for instance, now you want to start next year, from now, you can just call them and say, doctor, so, how are you doing today? I just called to check up on you. December again, you call, I call to wish you a Merry Christmas. Maybe you can even decide to send them a Christmas gift, like just to establish the connection that you could not build while you were back in school, because you know that you would need their help very soon. But like, it would be really good if you have someone that you already close to in school, maybe even your supervisor for your research project, so the person would be able to say that, okay, this person worked with me during my our research project, and then she was hardworking, she was able to deliver results, and on like that. Okay, but then worst case scenario, okay, not worst case, but like, if you don't have anybody, like you don't have anybody in school, or maybe some schools, because some schools they will ask you to submit 3 people, and then you might not even have up to 3 academic referees. So you can use somebody in the industry, but you want to make sure that the person, please, who is that? Can you mute your mic? Okay, thank you. But you would want to make sure that but you would want to make sure that this person is inclined with what you are going to school to study. So let me use myself as an example. So before I came to school, I was working at Jumia. Jumia is an e-commerce firm. And then I was applying for environmental engineering. So imagine if I don't have anybody and I told my boss to write a recommendation letter for me. It will not fly, because it doesn't really relate. Do you understand? So I would always advise, maybe if you can get someone in your field that can attest to your academic excellence. Well, a case whereby maybe I could have used my boss was if they were asking for 3 recommendation letters. So maybe if the other 2 are academic and then the last one is from the industry. So it just makes sense that, okay, people can attest to my academic excellence, my leadership in school, and all of that. And then I also have someone else that can attest to my my life outside engineering. Okay. So I think that's all I have to say about recommendation letters. And then, like, um so for especially if like you're working with a professor, like these people are always so busy, so you want to tell them ahead of time. Like, for instance, now I know that Arizona Mastercard Foundation scholarship application is closing tomorrow, and you're supposed to have by now you're supposed to have your recommenders letter already. So please, like, give them ample time and then follow up consistently, and then don't now become a pain in the ass that you come and say good morning sir, another day you come and say good morning sir, like trying to remind them. Like, you need to be nice about it. Yes, like you need to be nice. Like, you need to remember that these people, they have a life separate from what you are doing. And then you can even go ahead and ask them that, oh sir, how can I make your life easier? Well, some of them might ask you that, okay, you know what? You can go ahead and write the letter. Well, not like I'm advising that, but like you can just ask them that, okay, how can I make your life easier? And they can suggest for you to write the letter. Or maybe they can tell you that they have a template they use for everybody. You can tell them that, oh, you don't want that template. Do you mind if you can see it and edit it? Etc. So yeah. Okay, so next I'll be
Yeah.
speaking
Gloria,
on,
Gloria, may I
yeah.
briefly add that
Okay, yes, please.
contrary to what most people think, your
Mm-hmm.
recommendation letter is so important, especially if you're applying to top schools. I've had this conversation with with XYZ people, and recommendation letter actually make or marks candidate. Like they literally would choose one person over the other based on, like, if every other thing has been ticked, it could be what is in the recommendation letter that would break the final straw. So you want to take it really, really seriously. Don't go and send some really washy thingy, right? If possible, ensure that your recommendation letter, at like if you're applying for a scholarship, you can nudge, like Gloria mentioned, nudge your recommender or your referee to put things that would reflect you in a strong light. Your Mastercard Foundation requires leadership. Say that this in your recommendation, like your referee say, oh, this person has led a group project. This person has done this or this. Consider them for a scholarship in case they missed your essay. They should remember it in your referee. Your recommendation letter is really important. Yes, sir. I think I have to move to the next slide, correct?
Yes, please. Thank you, Favor. Okay, so next is sending a research proposal. Okay, so I didn't want to speak on this because it can be a lot, but then I think in the form someone mentioned this. I'm like, okay, let's have it. I mentioned at the beginning of this talk how for people that would like to do a thesis based masters or maybe a PhD, you might have to identify a professor. So let's say you've identified a school and then you go through the faculty list and then you identify a professor that their research interest aligns with yours. What do you do from here? So you need to put yourself in this person's shoes. Like, they'll be receiving a lot of emails. Remember that they have schoolwork. Remember that they have, they have 1,001 things that they are doing. So how best can you present yourself in such a way that they should consider you? And that way is by finding how their interest intersects with yours. What can you do for them? Because at the end of the day, like, human beings can be very selfish, intentionally or unintentionally. Like, everyone is looking out for themselves. How is this going to benefit me? How am I going to, like, what do I stand to gain from this? And you're going to tell your professor exactly what you have for them. How can you do this? So let me say I'm going through a professor's work and I see that, okay, they are into green energy. What they do is they use biomass to, and then convert products to, they convert biomass to green energy. And so you go through maybe their recent works, read up on it, and then think, okay, this work that this person has done, what can I do? How can it be improved on? Because it's like a competition out there for professors. Maybe not competition, but yeah, you get it. So you want to now do your own research, how you can make this person's work better, what would be a good addition to this person's work. And then you can now draft an email. So you can be like, oh, I went through your research, your recent works on XYZ, and I found out that this. Let them know that, okay, their work interested you. And then you would share. The point is that you need to find a way to suggest something to them, like, and then make it, like, make the idea so compelling, like, they'll be like, wow, like, let it be like a light bulb moment for them. And then present yourself that, okay, you've done certain works on this, and then if you bring your skills from this, it will be a very good addition to the project. And then the thing is, it doesn't even necessarily need to be, let me say, the professor can be a chemical engineering, like, for lecturer or professor, and then you might be into electrical engineering. But then at the end of the day, by the time you make them see how maybe what you do, or maybe what you do on AI would be beneficial to them, like they would be very interested in adding you to their work, to their lab. And then of course, shoot your shot. Like, don't be afraid. Like, and then challenge yourself too. You need to calm down and like tell yourself, like give yourself that pep talk that Gloria, whatever your name is. Like, I always talk to myself that Gloria, you can do this. And then, like I mentioned, this thing is, it requires a lot of hard work. Like when I was applying last year, I used to tell myself that I must send a research proposal per day. And it's not easy because, number one, of course, I didn't do that, Sha, but I'm just saying that it takes a lot of hard work because you have to find a school, then find a professor, then you need to read on them, and then you need to look for how you can make their life better, make their work better, and then send them an email, and then maybe the next 2 weeks send a follow-up email. So you, like, the moment you say you want to start this grad school work, you need to tell yourself that you're going to give it your all. Like, it might not just come and fall on your lap that, oh, take. No, you need to work for it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we can move to the
Yeah.
next section.
Yeah.
You have something to
Gloria,
add? Thank you, Gani. So I hope we're learning. I know that time has gone, and then is, wow, time has really gone. But then I hope we're learning. Okay, so before I start my story, sorry, I wanted to say something, but then it skips my mind. Yes, okay, I remember. So we're going to have a question and answer session when we're done. So we're almost done. Like, everybody's just going to share their personal story, and then we would call it, and then we'll ask our questions, and then we'll call it a day. So we're actually almost done. So okay, thank you very much. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Gloria. Okay, so where do I start from? I don't know if I'll give people the full gist. So in 2023, so I graduated from school in 2022, and then in 2023 I was doing my service year. And you know how it is now. When your service year is coming to an end, everyone will begin to ask, okay, what's the next step? What are you doing next? And all of that. And I was praying to God, I was trusting God because I did not want to make decisions on my own. Like, I wanted God to be in the story, literally. And then, like, to to cut the long story short, I think I should close the chat box because the comments are distracting me. To cut the long story short, like, God made it so obvious that this was what He would have me do. Like every single thing that happened was so mind-blowing for me. So there was a particular day that I was in church, and someone came to sit down beside me, and me were like, this is someone that I know, but like I just say, okay, please can you mute? I think I'm getting feedback from your end.
Sorry.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll mute.
Okay, so this person came to sit down beside me, and he was like, that, Gloria, have you thought of applying to schools after your NYC? Like, and it was just weird because like this is someone that I don't even have a personal relationship with. So like I was just like, what's happening? Like, why did you come and sit down beside me? Like, why? And then, like, when like he was just like, that he doesn't even know why he came to have this conversation with me. And I was like, okay, God, I see what you're doing here. And then it happened again. I mean, there was still someone that called me randomly and was like, that after your NYC, what are your plans? Do you plan to go to school? What do you plan to do? And I was just speaking to her. This was my friend Ife, and I was just speaking to her that, like, it's not even on my radar right now because my parents don't have the money to send me to school and all of that. And she was like, that, I don't know, there are a lot of opportunities out there and all of that. And I said, okay, I'm going to look into it. And the one that like busted my brain was on this particular night. I had prayed about it, and then I told God that, like, I want I want him to make it very, very evident. And then that night someone called me, and then he was like, Gloria, I had a dream, but like I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you. And then this is not someone that I talk to on a normal day. It's just someone that I see, and if I see him, I'll just say hi, that kind of thing. People that you know from a distance. And it was like that he had a dream, and in the dream, I was saying, Gloria, let's go to school. Gloria, we're going to school. God, I said we're going to school. And I was like, Jesus, like that night I literally cried because I was like, okay, God, I hear you. I see what you're doing. So I'm like, okay, let's start this journey. And so I started applying. So this was in 2023. So I started applying. I mean, I think I had my Google sheet. I don't really remember, but like I started sending my proposals out to professors. Like there was even this particular professor that I was so sure that we're going to work together. I was so sure I was going to go there. The school was in the US. Like we're talking back to back. Like I'll send him an email, he'll send back, and then before you know, like I got a rejection email from the school. And I was just surprised because I thought we were working together, like what was happening? And then I tried to reach out to him that what's happening, sir? And I was not just hearing back from him again. Like that period was so sad, honestly. I think that year I applied to about 6 schools and I got 0 admissions. It was really so sad. But then I think which is something I've learned in this period, like if God is in the story, like your story would be perfected. Like God has the timeline for each and every one of us. He knows the beginning from the end. Like he knows why he's doing whatever he's doing. Simple. 2024 came, I was like, okay, we go again. And then I started the application process. But I think something that I did differently was to start early. So I mean that time, because I got my confirmation late, I started in November. But this time around I started in July. Yes, so that was when I started like mapping out every single thing, identifying. Yes, we go harder, identify every single professor that I was going to reach out to. I was doing everything, and this time like I was doing it 10 times more intense than I was doing the previous time. So this time, because I was now, even because the previous year I was running one business, so this time around I was running 2 businesses. I still had to go to the office every single day. Like I was doing so many things at the same time. So it meant limited amount of sleep for me. But because I knew where I was going to, I was not relentless. Like I gave it my all. So I would either decide that okay, tomorrow I'm either going to work very early. I'll go to work as early as 6 a.m. so that before my office resumes by 9, I would do all the work I needed to do. So, and then one thing I also did was I spoke to a lot of people. So I did not say that okay, oh, I want to do hush hush hush. Like till now, maybe I don't really still understand why a lot of people, like when they're applying to schools, they keep it very, very extremely high key private, because you need to speak to people, especially people that have been there, like people that are already here, for instance. Like you need to speak to them. Okay, what did you do? What do you think? All of that. So I reached out to the people that I know that are here. I had people that I was asking for advice. I had people that were reviewing essays for me. I had people that were reviewing my SOPs. I just had different people for different things, and I also had different people for different countries. So I'll start with, let me say, Canada. Okay. So when I decided that okay, I was going to apply to Canada, I reached out to my friend Moga, and then I told her that okay, oh, I want to apply to schools in Canada. What do you advise? And all of that. And this time, Moga was not even in Canada then. She was still in Nigeria, but I knew that she was also applying to Canada. That was why I reached out to her. And then she gave me advice. To cut the long story short, about 4 weeks later, so at that time, Moga had gotten admission. She had a professor that she was going to travel to work with in January. So she reached out to me and she told me that, oh, there's currently a professor that is looking for somebody smart, somebody with a first class degree to work with. I'm like, okay, what does he do? What does she do? So I did a research on the person's work, and I was like, okay, I'm interested. So that was how she linked me up with the professor. So this is where social trust comes into place. So the thing is, Morgan did not even know the professor directly, but the professor knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody that knew Moga than knew me. And then if that other person did not trust that other person, so that's why, I mean, what I'm trying to say is you need to have people that trust you. Like, you need to have people that can vouch for your person, that can vouch for your character. Because if Moga did not see me as someone that had sense or could deliver the work, she would not have recommended me, because she does not want to fall the hand of that person. And then she linked me up with the professor, and then I spoke with the lady, and she was like, okay, she's very interested, she wants to work with me, but she doesn't have funding. And then she was like, okay, but if I can get scholarships, I'll be able to work with her, etc, etc. I don't want to make the story too long. But then, which is another place you can get scholarships. We mentioned family and friends. So friends, Morgan, and then university website. So I went on the university website, and I saw that they had this thing called the Harmonized Scholarship Process, HSP. I think we can also look into it. So the name of the school is Dalhousie University. So you can just note it somewhere and then look into it.
I think there was
So
a
they had
house
this.
in the
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. I think comfort. Yes. So it, it was very long. Like, it was a lot. They told me to write a research proposal, write this, write that. Like, I was on that application till January the next year. That's how somehow it was. But like I said, you need to be ready to give it your all. So I applied for that. So now, the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship. So, well, I just believe that my coming year was very divine, because this scholarship, my friend, once again, Ife, sent it to me on a random day. She was like that, oh, Gloria, you should check this out. And then I went to their website. So that's another thing you need to do. Like, you need to be resourceful. A lot of people, sorry, you're no shade, but some people message me and say, oh, please, can you send me the link to this, to that? Like, okay, let me say someone said, okay, send me the link to MasterCard Foundation Scholarship. I'm like, oh, you can just go to the internet and type MasterCard Foundation Scholarship, and then the website would pop up, and you can go through it, check, because the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship, they have a lot of schools under them. They're in partnership with so many schools, so many courses. So you need to take your time. Look for the school that you like, or the school that has the course that you want in the country of your choice. Do your research. So when she sent me the link to the website, I went to the website and I found McGill. And that was when I saw that this application was closing in 4 days. And I saw that there were a lot of essays to write. So I took leave from office that day, an emergency leave. And so I took it for 3 days, because I was like, if I have 4 days, then I need 3 days at least to sit down and focus on these essays and write. So that was how I started writing the essays, and thank God, like, I was able to submit in time. And then my recommenders to my referees, like, well, when I was in school, I had very good relationships with my professors. Even after I left school, in short, my supervisor, we still call each other, we still gist. Like, she knows everything that is happening in my life. I know what's happening in her life, and that's how it should be. So that if you have an emergency situation like I did, they'll be able to respond to you in time. Okay, so I submitted my essays, and by so they didn't get back to. I submitted my essay, let me say, in October. So by December they got back to me. That's MFC, MCF. So they got back to me, and that was when I moved to the second stage. So the second stage was applying to the school. So I applied to the school, and then they got back to me again in March. Meanwhile, like, as all these things were, like, all these things are simultaneously happening, like, you'd still be applying to other schools, because you cannot say that, well, I know some people here, like, I know some scholars in McGill right now that were like, the only scholarship that they applied for was McGill. And I'm like, wow, you guys are very brave and bold. But like, I was also applying to different places. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket in case the basket is leaking. So yeah, so they got back to me. I mean, okay, so I mentioned they got back to me in December or January. I can't remember. Then after January, I heard back from them in March, and they're like, okay, I've moved to the next stage. So now I'm going to write another set of essays. I'm like, hey, oh, Jesus. And this time around, the timeline was also very short, and I was very busy. And I mean, I mentioned that my coming year was very divine, honestly, because before I sit down to write my essays, I will legit pray that, Holy Spirit, please give me divine ideas. I don't just want to write. I mean, everybody's going to write. There are some people that are very good writers. I'm not a professional writer, but I do try my best. And I want my essay to have reasons to stand out. And so random things will just be happening in my day, and I'll just get a divine inspiration, a storyline for my essay. And that's another thing I would recommend for when you are writing your essays, especially if the essay topics are personal. You can try and make your story personal, like make the person reading feel so close to you. There was a particular essay they told us to write about an experience you had that didn't go well, something like that, and I wrote a very personal story. And I mean, all of this would just like, if the person is reading the essay, the 20th essay in a particular day, they would be encouraged to read it more, because imagine the essay is just very flat and then they are just tired, they can't even understand what you're trying to say. So my point is, try to calm down, like try to come home, make your essays very interesting, make it touchy, make it, if you can even make it relatable. I mean, it's not every time you have to be using big grammar or big English that they might not be able to understand. So yeah, and so, well, that happened. I submitted my essay. And so, yes, while this was happening, I also received feedback from the HSP people, and they were like, okay, my application has moved to HSP's the housing. Sorry, these notifications are distracting me. Okay, so they also reached back to me that, okay, my application has reached the next stage, and that I'll be contacted if I get to the final stage. And then, to God be all the glory, they actually got back to me. So because HSP is harmonized scholarship process, so all the funding that comes to Dalhousie, you can apply for them under the HSP. So it's not like you choose the particular one you got. So under Dalhousie, under the HSP, that was how I got Kilam. That one is priced at $42,000 per year, and I got it for the 2-year period I was supposed to study. That was how I also got the Nova Scotia Graduate Awards, which is $10K per year. Yes, and then the next week I got the email from MasterCard. I also got the scholarship. So now it was a very good problem. So okay, so for the third one, which is University of Pittsburgh, sorry, the fourth one. So for the University of Pittsburgh, I don't know if for those of us that were around earlier, I mentioned how while you are applying for the school, you might also be able to apply for funding too. So there was a section that they were like, oh, would you like to be considered automatically for funding? And they'll ask you to just write a short essay, talk about the economic situation in your country, why you think you should be considered for the funding. It was part of the application. I didn't even remember that I filled that, but then that was how I got that scholarship. So I expanded my story like this to say that getting scholarships is possible. I remember there was someone I was chatting with last week, and I was telling him that, oh, I mean, Abi messaged me because he saw my post on Instagram and was like, oh, how are you? I was like, oh, I'm here on a scholarship. I was like, oh, so those things are real. And of course they are real. Like, I think that's why a lot of people, or maybe a lot of people, are not just aware, but yes, scholarships are very real. You can get them in different forms, you can get them in different ways. Like I mentioned, the first one, my friend, was through a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. The second one was a friend sent the link to me. So in different ways. So this period, just be very, very open-minded, and I believe that God will see each and every one of you through, in Jesus' name. Amen. Yes. So up next. Okay, so I can see a few questions in the chat box. I guess we would answer that after the session.
Yeah,
We
I
just
do
want to put
think
an end to the session. Yes. Okay, so Gali, you can go next.
Okay, such a beautiful story, Ayani.
Thank you.
Okay. And congratulations once again.
Thank
My own
you.
story is very short. Okay, so I finished school. I finished my undergraduate degree in 2022 as well. Fun fact, I, Gloria, and Favor were all in the same set. So we all finished school the same year. And personally, I wanted to work for at least 3 years before going for my master's. It was just my bias. I didn't want to go to school without having some work experience. I just, it was just in my head for some reason. And obviously, time came, NYC came. I started working at a really good company. And sorry, for the person that just said you let's go 10 years, can you still get scholarship? The answer is yes, but we can answer that later. Okay. So I started working at a really good company. I did my NYC there. I continued working there. I had just gotten a promotion. I was very comfortable. I was happy. God had been so good to me and everything. Prior to then, a lot of people had been pressuring me to apply for scholarships for masters. But like I said, I wanted to work for a while, like 3 years. So in my head, when people would say, "Oh, when do you plan to go for your masters?" I'll just randomly tell them, maybe 2025, because I graduated in 2022. You get just like 3 years and everything. So one fateful day in 2024, right? Yeah, one fateful day in 2024, February to be precise, I was randomly on WhatsApp, and I came across a friend's status, Busan. I came across his status, put up a scholarship link, and I clicked on it, and I saw that, oh, you just needed to upload your documents, and like it didn't require you to write essays. I'm sorry, I might be lazy, I'm sorry, but it didn't require you to write essays and a lot of things. So I was like, this is so easy. I can apply for this. And then I messaged him, but then it looked too good to be true. So I messaged him and I was like, is this real? Like, this doesn't look real because it seemed too easy. So I messaged him and I was like, is this true? And he said, yes, that it was true. So I was like, interesting. So I said, okay, I was going to apply. And so that's how I started my first, was that my first application? I think I had applied for this Michael Taiwo thing earlier, but I didn't get it. But that was like my first, like, okay, intentional that okay, I'm the one that said I want to apply at the time. And as God will have it, he had applied before, so he was there to guide me, send me a lot of, voice notes to guide me and everything. And basically, I did the application. Now, if you're familiar with the PTDF scholarship, basically all they request is your details, like your first degree certificate, um your birth certificate, your is it I don't even think you send transcript, your basically your document, but then they also request professional memberships from you. I think that's also something everyone should build. Like join, like as an engineer, you can easily join National Society of Engineers as a graduate member. I was also part of the International Society of Automation at the time as well. So I had those two memberships which I uploaded, and then we asked to write a personal statement, which I did write and submit as well. But I just submitted it at the time as okay, I came across this, didn't seem very stressful. And so I was like, okay, I was going to apply for it. So when I applied, I took my mind off it because, like I said, I wasn't actively searching for a master's opportunity at the time. But God had other plans. And so one thing led to the other, and it wasn't until they called me for the interview that I was like, oh, this is actually like really real. And eventually I went for the interview majorly for the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. Doesn't mean you only have to be an engineer to get it. You can be doing law, finance, supply chain, reliability, biotechnology. But what's key is you need to find a way to tie that to the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. So that's how I wrote my SOP to tie that. And also the interview, that's majorly what they want to know. How is the course you want to study going to be able to benefit the oil and gas sector in Nigeria? So I went for the interview, definitely prayed about it, and God literally, I won't say I got scholarship. God gave me that scholarship because from someone who was not even looking to go for my master's to getting a fully funded scholarship, it was like a dream. And then I randomly remembered when after I graduated from Covenant University, I didn't want to stress my parents about having to sponsor my master's degree. I just told God that I just wanted to get it fully funded. Like I didn't want my parents to have to pay anything as regards my master's degree. And God literally brought that pass when I wasn't even thinking in that line. So I would say God really gave me that scholarship. Like God really favored me from the interview to the application process to even, because there's even a testimony to how I even got one of the membership certificate just like December before that February, just by favor. Like someone just saw me, paid for the membership for me, and like I just got it by favor. So I'm sure, I know we're also encouraging people in the faith here, but I want you to know that, like, I'm about to say God is real, but God truly helps and God truly guides people. So that's the story of how I got my scholarship, and I found myself in the United Kingdom. So yeah, thank God.